Hi, welcome back to Evie's Acres. I'm Evie, and I want to take you guys along with me today while I go and update a spotlight table that I have at a couple of local banks. They have a small business spotlight that they do for a couple of weeks at a time, and I have been leaving like little samples of some of my sourdough products each day. Well, this is only the second day actually, but the first day I left individual samples of mini cranberry orange scones. Today I'm leaving some mini chocolate chip scones. I think I'm gonna focus pretty much on scones this week, but I think next week, for the second week of the spotlight, my goal is to amp things up a little bit and start leaving some like mini muffins. And I'm also thinking about trying out some like donut holes or mini donuts. We'll see. I haven't really tried to make any any donuts sourdough yet, but that is something that's been on my list, and I really think that would be really popular, especially with some of the upcoming festivals that we have where I'll be a vendor. So yeah, so I'm gonna give that a try, see how that goes. But yeah, I wanted to go ahead and take this time while I'm driving to update you guys on a lot of things that have happened over the last few months since I last posted a long form video. I'm sure, have seen a number of shorts that I've posted, primarily about things going on in the sourdough micro bakery, and then a couple here and there about the chickens and what's going on with them. But ultimately, and I've shared this with folks who have subscribed to the Evie's Acres newsletter. Again, I would encourage you to go ahead and click the link that's going to be in the description, as well as pinned in the first comment, so that you can sign up for that newsletter. I share a lot of information that doesn't make it to videos. So in essence, I want to take this time to summarize some of what I've already shared with my newsletter subscribers. And just so you know, in case you didn't, it's free. I don't charge for you to subscribe to this newsletter. It's completely free. And I send it out every Sunday. I aim for noon, but the last few have gone out a little bit later due to extenuating circumstances. But yeah, so every Sunday afternoon is when I send the newsletter out. And it really just summarizes for you kind of behind the scenes of what's happened on our homestead and with the bakery. And, I also like to share a few things that are coming up or planned. And then, I'll also share like links to different things that, tend to appear in future videos. But as I said, I haven't actually posted a long form video in quite a while. So what I will do is I'll go back and review the past newsletters and include links to all of those types of things in this video and in future videos where applicable. So all that to say, it's been a very exciting and challenging few months. I will start by stating that I really love what I do. I love baking. I love being able to serve healthy breads and baked goods to my community. And I enjoy, sorry, I'm just making a turn here. Even though I am an introvert, I don't generally like to be around big crowds or anything like that, but I do enjoy interacting with my customers one-on-one, whether it's for a delivery or even at a market where, farmer's market. It's always such a pleasure for me to answer questions and to serve in that way. But I will say that this has come with some challenges. Just balancing out the process of building a business, growing a business in an industry in which I've never worked before. Well, that's not totally true. I did work at a Dunkin' Donuts for 4 days. The summer after my senior year of high school, before I went to college, I only had I don't know, I think I had maybe 4 weeks or something, maybe 5 weeks of that summer available to work because I was involved in other activities. And so during those last few weeks, I thought, okay, well, I guess I can try working at Dunkin' Donuts and see how that goes. And that didn't work out. I mean, I wasn't baking anything there. I was just serving the donuts, but man, no, that's not for me. Anyway, my point is, I did not anticipate having to deal with quite so many challenges as far as process improvement with baking, because there's definitely a big difference. Sorry, this light is shining kind of weird, but it'll change when I turn here. There are just certain challenges that exist when you bake in bulk versus just for your home, for your family, or even just for your family and your neighbors. Like, there's a huge difference in baking like 2 or 4 loaves of bread at a time as opposed to 30 plus at a time. So, all that being said, I've had a lot of sleepless nights. I've had a lot of times where I've really just felt like I'm loving this, I'm loving what I'm doing, but there's so many other aspects of this business, primarily administrative, that I'm falling behind in, and I need to catch up, and how do I catch up, and how do I get my name out there more? How do I, really market myself without compromising my principles? I just realized this lighting is really not good. The sun is coming right into your faces. Let me see if I can put this. Let's try this for now. A little better, but now I have a streak of light going across my face. Okay. I think what I'll do is I'll pick up this video again after I make my drops, because the sun is going to be on the side of my face for the rest of this drive. So I'll get back to you guys after I drop off the bit. Alright, so I'm on my way home. I just dropped off samples for both locations and spoke with someone in leadership at one of the locations who confirmed that that they're going to share my information from their Facebook page out to the members. So, yay! So that's nice. Okay. So, like I said, I want to take this time to really catch you guys up on a lot of things that have happened. I want to say, I think I'll start with the easy stuff first. The chickens, the flock of chickens that we got about 5 months ago, I guess. That was a mixture of Plymouth Barred Rock and Buff Orpingtons. Turned out that about half of them were males, were roosters, and so of those roosters, I decided to keep one. I decided to call him George. George the rooster. And it took him a few weeks to really get his footing, but I think here, I'll insert here a little bit of footage of him and how he is with the ladies. We kept, I believe there were 6 Plymouth Barred Rock hens and 2 Buff Orpington hens. Now, about a month ago now, I guess, I integrated them with our laying hens. And it took a minute for things to normalize, like for them to really adjust to each other. I ended up having to actually isolate a couple of different hens on 2 separate occasions for different reasons. On one occasion, I had to isolate one of the Buff Orpington hens because she was getting really broody. Like, she was just sitting on all the eggs but not laying anything. And what was crazy is that happened actually before I integrated George into the group. So she was sitting on unfertilized eggs. It was so dumb. But another isolation incident happened when I had to take 2 of our leghorns and separate them from the group entirely. Like, I put them in a separate chicken tractor, completely away from everyone else, like outside of their usual fenced-in area. I had to do that for about, I think it lasted about 4 days with them. And I'm going to throw in some footage right here to show you exactly why, okay? So as you can see in that piece, there was one specific leghorn, but that was really being a bully to the rest of the group, just not even letting them eat. It was crazy. I will do a longer form video talking about signs of a bullying hen in more depth, and also some solutions that you can consider using if you find that you have that issue. For me, the isolation process worked, so that's what I did. But again, I'll provide a more in-depth video talking more about that and how. Sorry, a car just cut me off. And some other solutions that you may also want to consider that may work for you as well. So, but now everyone is doing really well, and that's great. I tried for several weeks to sell or barter those roosters, the 7 roosters that were left, and there were just no takers until the day after I processed them. Hello. I had them posted on a number of groups on Facebook, and also on Craigslist, on Nextdoor, and nobody responded, no one commented, nothing. And then finally I said, you know what, I can't keep supporting these roosters when they just have to go to freezer camp. And so I took time this past Thursday and processed all 7 of them. It's never a fun process, but it was necessary. It was time. And I guess one positive that I will point out is I was able to use our new vacuum sealer to vacuum seal all of the parts, because I prefer to, I will store our chicken whole sometimes in the freezer, but my son and I really do prefer when I quarter it, and in some cases remove the skin as well, so that it's just we just know we're grabbing a bag and it's all chicken thighs, or it's all chicken breasts, it's all chicken wings, whatever. Like, that's how we prefer to store our chicken. But this vacuum sealer I got Amazon, I'll leave a link down below if you want to check that out. It worked great, and so it was nice. I actually tested it on some focaccia that I had left over. Like, I'd made a big 9x13 pan for us to eat as a family, and we ate half of it, for dinner. And then I was like, well, I'm gonna try just vacuum sealing that and stick it in the freezer, see how that does, So I tried it out first on that. Didn't work great. And of course, that's a little different because it's, like a dry food item versus, raw chicken it's wet. Like, in retrospect, I realize now I probably should have made more of an effort to, like, just pat the meat dry as much as possible before doing the vacuum sealing, because the vacuum sealer has almost like a little well that goes across where it will, because it's sucking all the air out, it will suck liquid out as well, and it will go out into this little well before it seals the bag closed. But there were a couple, instances where there was just too much liquid in there, and so it wouldn't seal. And so, anyway, all that to say, after some trial and error, I figured it out, and I really am glad I got it. Previously, I would, if I was just, doing it whole, I have a video about that, and I'll include a link to that video if you want to see how I sometimes store the chickens whole in a bag to put in the freezer. And then, but before getting this vacuum sealer, I would just use usually quart-sized bags. Actually, I would use quart-sized bags for, like, if I would separate the legs from the thighs, I would use those to separate those, and then also for the chicken breasts. But I tend to use the gallon-sized freezer bags for, like, the carcass, which ends up going into the Instant Pot for broth. So, which reminds me, I need to make broth. I really need to make some broth. I have an abundance of carcasses in my freezer right now, and honestly, with the weather changing, this is a really good time to go ahead and just make a whole bunch of broth and can it and have it just ready to go for the winter. So that'll be another video. I'll go ahead and I'll loop you guys in on that one. Today is Tuesday. Let me think, when will I do that video? Tomorrow? I think I could squeeze it in tomorrow. We'll see. But hopefully within the next week I will get that done, because that would be really, I would love to be able to share that with you guys, how I prepare the chicken broth, and then also I can show you how I can it, and then I can show you how I use it. Oh, it's so great. I'm really hungry. Okay, anyway, enough about that. So the chickens, like I said, the roosters have been processed. Also, the chicks that I purchased, I want to say it was 9 weeks ago. They've been on grass for a few weeks now, like pretty much since week 4 or 5. They've been out on grass, and they've been thriving. They're doing really well. They're eating a ton. They're getting bigger, and I am planning to process them. Like, I think the earliest I could process them would be at the end of this month, so next week, Thursday, I think. Wednesday or Thursday, I think, would be exactly 9 weeks. And even though they are growing and they're doing well, I actually really want them to go about 2 to 3 more weeks before I process them, because I want to maximize their size. And the last time I had this breed of chickens, and I'll just show you a little clip right now of what they're looking like. The last time I had a flock of these chickens for meat earlier this year in the spring, I noticed that at 9 weeks they were like decent sized, but they definitely weren't as big as the Murray McMurray, what are they called? Big Red Rangers or something. So I gave them a couple more weeks and they still didn't achieve that size, but it was still fine. Like, they were still a good size. So I decided to do that again. I'm going to keep them for probably 2 to 3 more weeks. So either week 11 or week 12 from when they hatched is when I'll plan to process them. I will be hosting a class for that processing, and it will be local only. However, one of my goals with this class is to record it, to give you all a glimpse into what is coming when I release the course on processing your own broilers. And so, although that particular launch is on hold at the moment, I figured that this would be an opportunity to add in some additional, more current footage to kind of just add a bit more, almost like B-roll, I guess, to what I've already put together. So, all that to say, I am anticipating a really busy next couple of months, largely due to demands for the bakery. I know there are a lot of people who are looking for holiday breads, cookies, pies, cakes, rolls, croutons, breadcrumbs, all the things in preparation for all the holidays that are coming up in November and December. So I am not going to push myself to try to do all the things at once, but instead, I have my list of priorities, and I'm just going to continue going down that list, one task at a time. So, because I will say, part of the overwhelm that I was dealing with, that was also kind of paralyzing me from recording anything and putting anything out here on YouTube, is just this sense of there's so much I want to do right now, and I can't do all of it, right? Like, sure, it would be really cool if I had an assistant or someone who could take some of the load off, but at the same time, when growing a business, especially with a bakery, there's really not much margin right now for me to adequately pay an assistant. The closest I have, thankfully, my son, he has been willingly stepping in to help me with certain administrative tasks, like labeling, packaging, when it comes to preparing for markets, and loading and unloading things for me, doing a lot of the heavy lifting. He's grown so much. So grateful for him. And thankfully, he is satisfied with being paid in the form of scones, fresh bread, and other things. I do give him some monetary compensation as well. It's not a complete, whatever. But no, and so I appreciate that. But even so, I have decided to, this week in particular, take some time to really write out all the processes, like all the things that go into running this bakery every week, right? Write out everything that goes into maintaining my homestead, but then in addition, actually write out what it takes for me to get these videos out to you guys consistently, because I have all of this stuff in my head. It's all in there. But I think that sometimes the stress and desire to want to do all of the things at once paralyzes me to the point of not doing anything at all. Or feeling as though I'm in survivor mode and all I can do is what's right in front of me but I'm still kind of stressed because I'm not doing these other things, and so I may not be giving what's right in front of me 100% of my effort or attention. That doesn't happen all the time. I'm very much, when I'm focused on something, I'm very focused on it. But that doesn't, I guess, alleviate the stress the underlying stress that I feel about not accomplishing other tasks and goals that I have set for myself. So, being more realistic about all that, like I said, I have postponed the launch of the chicken processing class. There's also another workshop that I've been working on, and that actually has been paused for several months, but that's more of a from A to Z, raising chickens, primarily for layers, but also if you wanted to raise them for meat. That more comprehensive sort of masterclass is something that I have been really, really excited about putting together, but again, had to be put on pause until I can get these systems and processes refined in this bakery so that it is functioning more so as a well-oiled machine. Now, things will always come up. Like, it's the nature of just life and business in general. There'll be days, I'm sure, where something will happen with my starter not rising as quickly as I want, or too fast for what I want. Things will come up. I'm not naive about that, but I do believe that there are ways to just optimize my process, optimize my workload by managing what I will and will not prepare, and the timing of what I will and will not prepare for customers. For example, as these farmers markets are now winding down, my last one is actually this Saturday. There are a number of holiday markets that are coming up, which is great, and those will definitely draw a lot of bigger crowds. But the farmers markets here typically only run from about April until October. Some end in September. And as a result, there's this gap from November until March or April. And in that time frame, and even beyond that time frame, I fully anticipate and look forward to my customers adjusting to my my approach to receiving their orders. So going forward, they will be required to go online, pre-order what they want by a certain deadline, and then once that deadline hits, I will hit the ground running preparing whatever they've ordered so that about 2 days later they can then pick up their order from me. This is a practice that's very common among a lot of people who prepare sourdough, and it's one that I really started out trying to make this the pattern, like the common way for people to order from me. However, especially with the most recent market that I've been participating in, I think many of those customers have become so accustomed to me having so much available at the market to where they don't necessarily see the need to pre-order until they come and realize, oh, well, I'm all out of scones, sorry. Or I'm all out of this flavor of specialty bread, I'm sorry. If you pre-order, I can always set it aside for you. And so I have a handful of customers that do that consistently, and it's fine, but I really, really am working on encouraging all of my customers to adopt this approach, because it just really simplifies and streamlines the process for everyone so that I'm not over baking, under baking. They get what they pay for, and it also gives me the desire it incentivizes me actually to want to, gift these customers like a little something extra every time too. Like, maybe a free cookie or a free sample of a new flavor of scone or something with every order that they make. Like, that's something that I really look forward to doing that. But it's difficult to do that if I'm only receiving like a handful of those pre-orders per week. So anyway, this is just one of those things that I am working through. and as well as balancing just other options for selling my baked goods, because yeah, just working with local shops. There are a couple of shops I'm talking with now about providing a pop-up kind of opportunity where, again, people would pre-order and I would have their pre-orders ready, but their shop is just in a very central location, an excellent location, where I could just set up a little table and people can come in and pick up their orders, but at the same time take their time in this other shop. So they're essentially supporting two small businesses at once, which is great. And there are a few different locations I'm looking at or I'm in talks with. So there's that. And then there's also the angle of wholesale clients with the micro bakery, which, I mean, it's definitely an effective way to get your name out there. And I am open to considering a couple more wholesale clients. I've reached out to a couple of folks that I'll be following up with tomorrow. But for the most part, I really think that for me, wholesale is a portion of the way that I want to sell my products. I really prefer a direct-to-consumer approach. So that's really what I'm pursuing. I'd really prefer having that one-on-one interaction with my customers, face to face. I prefer it. I really like that. And I appreciate too that my customers are very just honest and open and willing to share with me feedback that they have or ask me questions about what I do. And so that's really encouraging. I like that a lot. And you don't really get that when it comes to wholesale, because you're basically just sort of dropping your product off at a store, and then whomever, people you're not seeing or meeting are buying it, which is great, but you lose that human to human interaction. So I don't know. There are just so many different ways to go about this, and I'm really grateful to be able to kind of test all these different ways out and figure out which way works best for me. I do. I was having tea actually with a really, really good friend of mine and yesterday, and she pointed out something that I tend to forget, which is that I just started doing this. Like, I haven't even been in business for 6 months yet. Now, I think part of why it surprises people when I say that is because, I mean, I was very, very focused, and I'm still very focused, but in the very beginning, once I figured out how to make the very basic classic sourdough bread, and then I started to realize how many other things I could make with sourdough, I went full force. Like, every week I was making something new and doing my very best to just test and test and test to make it as good as possible. And it kind of, I wouldn't say it became an obsession. It wasn't an obsession, but it's just something that I've been very passionate about. I've really enjoyed. And so for me to reach this point where I just feel very comfortable baking with sourdough, I feel very comfortable with producing consistently the products that my customers enjoy and want. I think that it does kind of throw me off when I realize that, hold on, you don't have to figure out everything all at once right now. You've not even been doing this for 6 months. So just give yourself some grace. Like, I have to remember to give myself grace when it comes to all of this. So, but anyway, I don't know exactly where I was going with that, but I think, well, I guess I was kind of getting at that I felt very encouraged talking with my friend who reminded me of that, and but was also cheering me on to really continue pursuing my dream of making this my full-time career, I guess you could say, and yeah, so I guess another aspect of that, and I think I'll leave it at this. Before I'll give you a little tour of how things are going on the property in just a moment. Because I didn't talk about the garden, but I will talk about that in a moment. But yeah, so another aspect of this that I have not fully delved into yet is live workshops about teaching people how to make sourdough, just, for themselves, for their family. And it's something that I've been in talks with, actually, with a local nonprofit about setting up and doing there, and they're so on board and so supportive of me doing it, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet, in part because just time has been in short supply, really and truly in short supply. And I absolutely aim to do essentially a test run of the workshop before I actually do one that people are paying to participate in. So that's one aspect of this as well. And then another thing is that, oh my goodness, I just realized I haven't shared with you guys that I have a new website. So I have a new website for the bakery, okay? eviesacres.com is still live. It's still there. You can totally go there and order. I have some t-shirts and like cool stuff there that you can order to support our channel, which we'd greatly appreciate. And on the eviesartisanbakery.com webpage, you can see all of the different menu items that I prepare each week for my customers. I don't have an option to ship outside of the state of Tennessee at this time, but that is something that I'm going to look into, because I have received multiple requests from folks just around the country. I've lived in multiple states, and, through school and through work, and so I have a lot of just connections in different places where people are like, oh, I'd really like to try your bread. And I'm like, oh, but I can't ship it to you. I'm sorry. So unfortunately, that's not an option right now. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pause right now so that I can show you guys what's going on outside. And it'll be really short as far as the garden's concerned, because there's just, you'll see why in a moment. But yeah, I'm going to pause right now so I can show you what's going on outside. All right, so we got these rogue chickens, these hens. They just don't know how to behave. They're still flying out of the area. We did move them over here to the side of the barn so they can get access to more sunshine. Oh, I see why you guys are out here. As you can see, their food bowl is empty. My son was supposed to feed them this morning. Clearly he hasn't yet, so we're gonna go take care of that now. But before I go inside, I'm just gonna 100% transparency, guys. These used to be chamomile plants. This is a tarp that's holding a bunch of weeds that I pulled from the garden with the intention of drying out and then burning in a bonfire. Here's some strawberry plants that just, keep coming back, I guess, but they're not bearing fruit. They're just alive. Oops. I'm dropping things. Hold on. Oh. Okay, you guys, look at this. They have no shame. I think it's because I'm holding a box and a bag. They think I have food in it for them, but I don't. Anyway, I emptied or removed. No. Down. I removed the weeds from this general area a few months ago, and I haven't touched it since. No. You all need to go back inside. Come on. Go back inside. Go inside. There you go. Good girls. These flowers, they gave us a really nice show this summer. I really appreciate them. They were beautiful. They did a really good job. Really nice. Here's some basil that's decided to come up, which is cool. Another little flower that's surprisingly trying to bloom despite the fact we've already had a frost. Here's some mint that will not die. I don't want it to die. It's all good. But yeah, and I still have these weeds to pull, which is honestly, it looks worse than it is because I'm holding the camera kind of close to where it is, but it's not a very big portion of this yard, or not yard, garden area. As you can see, my son actually helped with a lot of the weeds that were over there by that gorilla cart. I still need to pull this, and I still need to empty and replenish these green stalks. But you know what? Here's the thing. I have resolved that, oh, and this is also the area where I had garlic growing last year. I have garlic bulbs, so I may still do that. Not 100% sure, but I think I will. So, and here's just another pile of weeds that we need to burn. But yeah, generally speaking, the garden just did not take off this year. It's okay. I'm finally at peace with it because, like I said, right now is the time for me to just fully focus on my businesses. My Evie's Acres channel, I need to really bring her back and again, be more consistent with posting. With the bakery, like I mentioned, goal is to really refine my processes and procedures with that to get things streamlined and moving even more smoothly than they are now, and also to build that clientele base that's really strong and really on board with the pre-order process. And yeah, I mean, this is life as an entrepreneur, as a homesteader, as a mom who homeschools, and that's a whole nother segment I haven't even touched on really. But my son has been using it's a web-based curriculum. I'll share the link to that in the description as well. And he's doing, I think about a little over half of his classes are for 10th grade and the others are 9th grade classes. And he's in the 9th grade, but he's doing, honors classes, etc. And he's, he's doing well. I would like to have more time available to him, to do more than just help him when he has questions. But again, I believe that things will happen. In this season, I feel that things are moving closer to where I want them to be in the homeschooling realm. Things are definitely moving closer to where I want them to be with the bakery. The garden, again, I've had to just resolve that the spring garden was all we could do this year. But something that I hope we can get accomplished before this first snow comes is to just prepare these beds to rest over the winter. So that's going to be my big goal for the garden for the remainder of 2024. So anyway, I hope that you made it through this whole video. I know it's kind of long, and I appreciate you for sticking with it and listening to all of my just kind of stream of consciousness summary of everything that's been going on the last few months. One last thing I wanted to add is a really big thank you to all of you who contacted me and shared your prayers and thoughts for us and for the people in our area who have been affected by Hurricane Helene. There's still a lot of work going on in our area. A lot of things that we're still doing to help those around us. There's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be replaced, and there's a lot that is not being shared. I'll just say it that way. That's not being shared, but that should be. And so if you're curious to know a bit more about what I mean by that, you can check out a few of the links that I'm, again, going to leave in the description. A couple podcasts, a couple YouTube videos that I think would help provide, shine a light on some of the struggles that folks in Appalachia have been dealing with since the storm. So, but all in all, I want to just say thank you all for everything, all of your encouragements. I appreciate all of your likes and your comments on the shorts that have been going out. And I appreciate you for hanging in there with me. I know it's been a while, but like I said, things are looking up. Space has been created for me to be more active in this creative space. And so I'm really looking forward to reconnecting with you on a consistent basis. So thank you for all of your support. Be sure to check the links down below. And as always, be blessed and be a blessing to others. Until next time.